All right, this one,
Just record the audio later.
yeah, it's, this one is, now we're gonna do bond. And bond is, the steps are the same. However, the problem being that did everybody bring the markers back, by the way? I might need some of those green markers that have all disappeared. I'm looking for a green marker and not finding any, and I'm like, I need a light green one. Someone give me a light, and lighter is better. Oh, look at all those. Oh, I'll bet I can find a light one in there. See if there's anything left in it. So, nope. I got a lot of dead light green ones. All right, we're going to the secret stash. Wish me luck.
You kept his favorite ones in.
Yeah, I try and hide those, but they're getting tired too. Oh, did I already bring them out? Nope. All right, let's see what we got in here. That one's going to be too dark. This is grass green, which is very dark. I use it for, yeah, and it's not real great either. That's what I want. Let's see if there's anything left in it. I've got two of them. So again, the big problem that I have, that's good. Same rule applies, but you'll notice that now it's not going to be ghosty, it's there. And you won't getting the watercolor feel is going to be a lot harder on bond than it is on trace. I just happen to like bond better because the drawings are going to look a lot bolder. But you won't be able to, the smudging that you could do, like you could kind of go back on some of yours and lighten it out a little bit by rubbing it, and those days are gone when you move to bond. When it's down, it's down. So, but again, first we do the big flat washes. And in this case, the big flat wash is, of course, all grain. When you're doing elevations, there'll be more sky, and there'll be a couple other colors other than your light green.
The final project, is that going to be using Gimp to color, or are we going to use markers?
Oh, you'll use markers.
Okay, good.
I mean, if you want to try,
Nope.
yeah, okay. I'll be honest with you, when I tend to color with Photoshop, I mean, I have a drawing tablet, so I've got graphic tablets that I can use. I've got one which is probably about $100, which was, you can draw on it with a pen, but you can't, it's like using a mouse. So you're basically using a pen instead of a mouse. So you're not looking at the picture when you're drawing on it. And I think it's called Bamboo or Graphire or something like that. They make them, and you can get some cheaper ones on Amazon. It's just a graphics tablet. And like I said, that was about $100, and that worked okay. But what I wound up buying was, and I never will pronounce this right, it's either Wacom or Wacom. It's a digitizer tablet. So basically it's a touchscreen with a special pen. And it was about $1,200 for a small one. And it worked great. It did a great job. But I have since used the Apple Pencil on an iPad mini, and that'll do the job too. And so that's a little less money. And what you can do then is you can actually draw, okay, I got one layer of the green down. You can actually see what you're drawing. If I remember, was sky blue lighter? No. Okay, we'll use the sapphire. Or, yep, we'll go with sapphire. It's pretty much the same though. We'll put down the water. Again, you'll see that the colors aren't super light when I get those grays. All right, so this is a 30% gray, which is what we were using before. And you'll notice that it looks a lot darker on the bond. Okay, so I've got my flat washes down. I'm going to go through with the same green that I used before, and I'm going to do the trees. Now, this time you will probably see, last time, is this the same? Yeah, I think it's the same green. Well, we'll find out. You're going to notice a pretty dramatic difference right off, just by putting that second layer on there. Much more so than when we did the trace. Again, when you put the second layer on with the trace, you could barely tell that you put it on. And what you're probably thinking to yourself is, golly, with all that nice black line work underneath, we don't need to trace it. And you would be thinking wrong. And you'll see why at the end. It still makes a difference when you go over the line work. Obviously not as dramatic as on the trace, but you still have to redo it. And that will, I'll try and show you how to do that in GIMP, and I'll see if I can find the video that I did it on. GIMP is a little, I tend to do it in Photoshop, which is real easy. GIMP is a little trickier to the way I'm used to doing it. So I usually screw it up the first 3 or 4 times.
Do you use Vectorworks at all?
I have not. They teach it here.
Yeah, but,
Um,
oh, but one of us are in that class on Mondays.
How is it?
It's good.
Yeah, I like it.
I think it's cool.
Slow moving.
It's slow moving, but it's good. I think it's good that it's slow moving.
Oh, it's slow moving me that's slow moving. And I keep changing menus. I'm like, what the hell is that menu? I had the same problem with Ezra. It just takes me forever to learn it.
I'm going to go ahead and but here remember what I said about It's tougher on bond. I won't be able to just smear that line in. I will be able to, oops, I think I wanted this one maybe? No. We'll stick with this one.
If you had put that really dark one on, what would you have done to like fix it?
I would have done this.
Start over.
Okay.
But the key is I would have tried to get to it fast.
Okay.
That's kind of fun. In that again, with that case, because I knew I wanted to blend it, I'd have to get to it fast. Let me try and find a washed out brown. Yeah, see this one that we used on the wall before on bond is going to look electric red. Let's see if I got anything that's a little less. Ooh, French gray is a great one if there's any life left in it. Please give me a little bit. Maybe. Yeah, she's pretty tired. That's all right. I don't need much. All right, I'm going to find another green. Oh yeah, that's going to be the last one. Let's try. This the same dark green, yeah. What's forest green? Even worse. Moss is the one I like to use, but there's no doubt in my mind this thing's dead. Yeah. All right, let's see what we can get. Dash green. Is that what I was using before? Yeah, that'll work. All right, so I'm going to do same thing as before. Just going to do the back. Actually, I probably should have put another layer of the. I'll do that in a minute. Try and stipple it a fair amount. I'm only doing about the back third of the trees. So I'm going to go over this again with my whatever grass color I use to try and soften that a little bit. My goal is to have the color down within 15 minutes. I don't know from now, not total. Don't know if I'm going to pull that off. You're probably not getting out early tonight, I guess is what I'm saying. Okay, I'm going to take the color that I used for the grass. And I think this is a color I used for, and I'm going to go ahead and go over that and just drag it out a little bit.
That's really
And that'll kind of, again, I can't smudge it like I could with the other ones, but I can soften it a little. And I'm mainly focusing on the edge. I want to make sure I get that. And then I go back. Would have been nicer if I did a drawing with less trees, huh? Again, you're just trying to build up. Now, for those of you that like that loosey-goosey watercolor feel, you're not seeing it quite the same on this. It's darker and more vivid. But if you truly want the loosey-goosey watercolor feel, I'll show you how you can get it. But I've never figured out how to make it work in a drawing. Please remind me when I'm done to show you. Notice I have trace underneath my brand new board. And when you're doing this, you're going to find some trees that you might have missed earlier. You can either fix them or just puddle away like crazy and hope that no one notices. That would be the option I'm taking now. Now I want to hammer it with a nasty grain. I'm just going to do this on the far back edge, kind of by the shadows. Just kind of stipple it on there a little bit. It will soften a little as it dries, but it will still be pretty dark. As I said before, what I like about this is because each layer gets smaller, each layer goes a little bit quicker. Now, having done your extensive work in color for 22 minutes, are you all starting to say, "Ooh, I need a marker in this color now"? Yeah. That's why I don't like necessarily giving you telling you to go out and buy 30 markers right away, because you'll really find which ones you need and which ones you need more of. I always forget these little fellas. All right, now I'm going to go back at it with the second green that I use and just try and soften that edge a little bit. Yeah, that's the second one. It just looks a lot darker when I put it on there. And they start to look like little puff balls. They get a round spherical feeling to them, which is fine. That's what I'm shooting for. Just gives them a little depth. So what you wind up with is you wind up with about 6 different layers of grain in there, and I'm cool with that. All right, the other thing I'm going to do is I like to, and with this time, because of the bond, I'm going to put a little more character in the grass like I did before, but now I don't have to work it real hard. I can just kind of just highlight the building a little. Aim for some of the corners. I'm going to do that pond a little. And again, I'm going to do a little of these corners. And it'll settle down a little bit when it dries. I don't know if settle down is really a word, but it will get more subtle when it dries. But you can see the difference, and it just starts to pop it out a little bit, and it doesn't look as flat. And this is why I like that stipple technique, because it's really tough to make mistakes, because it just adds character. It's not really a mistake, it's the addition of character. Okay. Ooh, 7 minutes. All right, let's grab some red.
Would you ever try to do something where the shadows sit in, for darker grass to make it look like it's
On the
in
roof?
shade? Or just the grass right here to make it look like it's in the shade?
Not real. I mean, I just use that black line for the shadow. I pretty much just stick with that, and I'm pretty happy with that. But you can give it a whirl. No, try it. It might work. It's I would recommend trying it on a small section first. I wouldn't say, "Ooh, the drawing's done. Now I'll put that shadow in and see what happens." See what happens there? Isn't that kind of a nice little touch? When you want to use your markers like this, real important that you stay off the triangle with the marker. Remember me talking about how Sharpies could get sucked in under the marker? See it? It went right under it. You can see it just blob right under the marker. So you got to be real careful with it. Now that I'll say that, I'll wind up screwing it up and putting a big old blob on there. It's kind of a subtle red, but it works. I mean, it's not a subtle red, but over the black line,
Or you're going right on top of the black.
I'm going right on top of the black line. But you can see how it pops off the page. What did we have left to do? Besides ink work, I saved my favorite part till last. What am I missing? What am I forgetting? Ink and shadow. So let's do, and I'm 4 minutes ahead of the game, but if I have to spend a long time finding my markers, that's a pretty dead Sharpie. How long do you think it's gonna take me to clean up tonight? I'm not getting home till midnight.
Can you get refills for those?
Markers?
Yeah,
Not that I'm aware
not those
of.
ones.
No,
Stinks.
none that I've had.
Plastic.
Yeah.
That would be a terrible business model. Watch what happens when I put the black over this. I mean, it's kind of subtle on this part, but you'll notice a difference. It just makes a crisper line, and you'll see it more in the finer line work. Although I gotta say, I did a pretty dark copy of this, so I should have made it light just to make you. Stay. All right. Whoops. I mean, it's subtle, but you can see the difference between again, the printed lines read more gray, whereas the trace lines read black. And that is helpful. You want that contrast. So that's why I make you go through and trace all those stupid lines. Did I even do that one? I'm not convinced.
Do you ever use the black Prismacolor for shadows?
Use that to make profiles, the black Prismacolor marker?
Yeah.
If it's got a fine point on it, you probably could. Some of them have, yeah, see, that's a reed tip. That might work, but yeah, it'd probably work. Now, again, it depends on, however, your Sharpies cost about 72 cents a piece, and your Prismacolors cost about $7 a piece. So I would tend to do as much as I could in the Sharpie, just because I'm a Scotsman. Have we got any Scotsmen in the group? Anybody Scottish here?
I have Scottish, English, Irish, and German in my family.
I'm Scots-Irish. It's,
Irish, Italian.
72 for $188. That's a good deal, huh?
what's that?
Irish, Italian.
72 for almost $188.
Yeah, it's, the pencils aren't cheap.
No,
Now-
the markers.
And
Copics are cool because they have refills, and the refill pack will refill like 3 times.
what's that, the markers, the Copic ones?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, say it again?
Copic markers.
Oh, I've got some of those.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
yeah, they
That's nice.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that with the Copics. And it used to be the Copics were way more expensive than any other marker.
Oh,
They're
wow.
like
But-
$8 a piece, $7.
Yeah, everybody, apparently Prismacolor and everybody else said, oh, look, if Copic can charge $7, we can too. And the Copics are, that drawing that I showed to my daughters, that was done with, the bottom one, I think, was done with Copic markers.
Starter set, $158.
So you said don't
to
get the
s-
kit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Don't get
yeah,
the
I know.
kits.
Of the markers?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
I
wouldn't.
know not to get the kit, but I want to get the kit.
Well, if you,
I might need some of those colors.
if you want to, how many colors are there? 72?
Yeah, 72
Of Copic markers or pencils?
markers.
That's $2 a marker. That is cheap, but not if you only use 15 of the markers.
Right.
And that's the problem that I have with the kits. And if it only has 2 shades of green, you're going to be running out and buying more damn green markers. And again, what I found with the kits, because I do most of my work on bond, I'm always looking for washed out colors. And the kits, that's not usually their strong point. They usually give you a lot of vivid colors. It's great if you're drawing American flags, but, you know, to do 3 subtle shades of a beigey brown, it's not going to help you.
I had a hard time narrowing down like which ones from my, like I keep saying, from my husband's stash. He has like a bajillion of them. And there were so many different tans and beiges and like, this is a pinky beige and this
Yeah.
versus like a gray beige. Yeah.
It's like walking into a Sherwin-Williams.
Yeah, exactly. It
How
really
many
was.
shades of white
I know.
do you think
Off-white.
this is?
All right, you pulled the string, and now I have to talk about Sherwin-Williams paint. Anybody here use Sherwin-Williams paint?
My wife does sometimes.
I'm a Ben Moore
yeah.
girl.
I never used Sherwin-Williams, and then I had a contractor do a little work on the back of my house. They replaced a wall and put in a door and a window and whatnot. He said, and we were gonna, part of it was we were gonna do the painting, because we couldn't really afford to have the door and wall replaced, so we were trying to minimize what we could. And he said, well, use my discount and get Sherwin-Williams paint. He said, give my name and they'll give you my discount, and you need to get Sherwin-Williams paint. And I said, oh, okay, I'll do that, Rick. That sounds like fun. So I go to the Sherwin-Williams store, and the Sherwin-Williams paint's like $60 a gallon. And with his discount, it was like $45. Now, this is combined with the fact that in Manchester, the Sherwin-Williams store is right next to Home Depot, and I knew I could grab cans of Bear for like $14 a gallon. But I said, Rick told me to get this paint. I'm begrudgingly going to spend the $40 a gallon on it with his discount. But after that, I'm just buying Bear or whatever Home Depot's got. Cheap. We use that Sherwin-Williams. I will never again buy another paint.
Yeah. It's
I
good paint.
only
You get what you
use
pay for.
Sherwin-Williams. It damn near didn't need a second coat. It dries in like 25 minutes. My wife was using it, and she's like, holy shit, excuse me. You know, holy heck, this stuff covers really well. And it did. And it's great paint. But it's not cheap paint.
You save a lot of money on your time.
It's pros use it, and just for what you said, you know, because they wind up having to do 3 coats with the other stuff. And, you know, with Sherwin, like I said, you're almost to a point where you could do 1 coat, and not quite, and the second coat goes down so fast. And it just looks beautiful.
It's better with the sprayer. Ask me how I know. It's better with the sprayer.
Oh, well, see, I have issues with the sprayers, because
We happen to be covering a whole entire 3,000 plus square foot 2-story house.
if people know what they're doing with the sprayer, it's fine. But I find that a lot of my contractors,
In direction.
well, no, it's not a matter of they don't spray where they're supposed to. They somehow manage to turn down the amount of paint that comes out to a point where, you know, they're getting 7 gallons of coverage out of 1 gallon of paint. And they just put these terrible thin coats down. And you know, my owners come in and they're like, what's this and what's this and this is terrible, and the contractors always go, oh no, that's all just like it was supposed to be done. And then someone breaks out the paint tester that does the mill film thickness, and you realize, yep, no, it's about a third as thick as it needed to be. And I had some people do some really terrible job on concrete with the sprayers. But they all spray, and there are plenty of painters out there that can spray and do a good job. It's just they have to pay attention.
Because we didn't have we were painting the siding ourselves, and then we had builders to put it up. So we just set up a station out back in our backyard, and sprayed it out there, and then after they put it up, we just put dots of paint over the nail holes to make it one even
Yep.
finish. So.
And what kind of siding? Was it shakes or clapboard?
Wood? I think it was cedar clapboards that we
Yeah.
used.
It's a lot easier to do with a sprayer. I mean, it makes sense.
Oh my gosh, we did like half the house just by hand, and that took a million years.
All right, that's pretty much done. All right, with the exception of
Favorite part.
watch
For the
what.
record, you are now 7 minutes past 9 o'clock.
I know, but I was just had to be done with the color by 9, and I already got to the ink work. I was actually 4 minutes early being done with the color.
Can you slide a piece of white paper behind us so
I
we see the
can.
difference?
Yeah, it's watch what happens on the bond with the yellow. And those trees, look at those right there compared to the rest of them. They just lift right off the page.
You know, it makes me think of
like
dots,
that.
that candy that comes on the paper. That's like that gives that gradient.
They
Yeah.
found like a new soda called like Star. It's like lemon lime, and the can just looks exactly like that.
Really,
Yeah.
I would drink that.
The yellow doesn't look as
Well, what
great.
kind of rum would you
Yeah.
put into it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna do all the trees, but you kinda see how much yellow lifts it off.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's the contrast that does it.